It was a pretty exciting weekend and day following as we were without power for 12 hours because of the windstorm. And with no power, that meant that we had no water from our well, which meant we had to go down to the lake with buckets and bring the buckets of water up so we could flush the toilets. And then we had no telephone service nor internet service for 36 hours or 3 days, basically. And we thought we were really roughing it until you start looking at the news, at the pictures of Houston, Florida, and Puerto Rico, and then you recognize that our little bit of inconvenience was truly that, a little bit of inconvenience. But it did remind me of Psalm 61, verses 1 through 8. It says, "Hear my cry, O God, give heed to my prayer. From the end of the earth I will call to you when my heart is faint. Lead me to the rock that is higher than I, for you have been a refuge for me, a tower of strength against the enemy." Now listen carefully to verse 4. "Let me dwell in your tent forever. Let me take refuge in the shelter of your wings. Selah." It's very interesting because in the Daily Bread a few years ago, there was a story about what they were doing in Vancouver. They have some homeless up there on Vancouver Island, and they built benches for waiting for buses and public transportation, and they made them with backs that could roll up over the top of the bench and give a person shelter. So the homeless people on cold nights or rainy nights could lay down on the bench and then pull the back up over the top of them, and they would be out of the weather so that they could survive the climate. God is a wonderful shelter. He really is. When we rest in Him, we have real peace. When we recognize that even when we're going through trials and tribulations, that He is our fortress, that He is the one that is higher than we are, that can take care of us, and that He will always hear our prayers and answer, and He will become our shelter, our wings to get cover over us. And it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. Now, if you've never heard me say this before, John Phillips, who has made several good commentaries, made one on the book of Psalms, and of course, everybody has done their share of speculation on what the word Selah means. It's Selah. Well, we know that the Psalms were originally intended to be sung and played on instruments. And we know that many of the things in the Psalms indicate some criteria for the instrumentalist. So many have said that the Selah means a pause. Some have said it's a special insignia to pause the instruments and before you begin again. John Phillips says that he believes that you could paraphrase Selah with a pause, yes, but the pause is there for a purpose, and that is to focus on what's already been said before more is said. So here's the way he phrases it. Selah means, what do you think about that? So let me dwell in your tent forever. Let me take the refuge in the shelter of your wings. What do you think about that? Take the shelter and the refuge of his wings, and be sure to know that even in the storms, even in the difficulties of life, God is our shelter, and we can rest in Him. Just like laying down on a park bench in Vancouver and pulling the top over the top. God is our refuge. He is the sheltering wings that we have. Your thought for the day. God bless you and have a great day.